Welcome or welcome back to the very, very special session in the A4Q Testing Summit edition 20. I feel super privileged to be part of this session with three women who have overcome experiences in the industry and who are very happy to be here to share those experiences. Importantly, they've all supported the International Software Testing Qualifications Board, ISTQB Women in Testing Initiative. A little bit about the initiative. It's part of the ISTQB's Equality, Diversity and Inclusive agenda, and it's been running now for a couple of years. And it's a program that aims to empower and support women in software testing industry. We have explored all sorts of issues through the ISTQB Women in Testing, and today we hope that we'll be able to look at some of the things which are particularly relevant to our three women who we have here today. Ramla, Natia and May, I'm going to ask you to each introduce yourselves rather than me do it. Perhaps I can start with you, Ramla.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So my name is Ramla Basenko, and I am a QA lead and engineering manager at Agile Engine company. And my location is Ukraine, but the company is worldwide. On my daily work, I mainly focus on process improvements, on team management, and also on hands-on testing as well. So I was recently certified as an ISTQB expert level in process improvements. So doing my best and trying to spread the culture of certification across people in Ukraine and people who also went abroad due to circumstances which we have here now. This is just briefly about me. So having 10 plus years of experience and started just as a plain QA engineer and came to these positions a few years ago. Yeah, this is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramla. Natia.
Hello, Debbie. Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you for invitation and delighted to be part of this panel. About my roles, I think there are several ones and different ones. I am co-founder and president of JOISTQB, which is the local board of ISTQB in Georgia. Also, I'm a board member of ICT Association, which actually is the association of several tech companies. And also I'm leading delivery centers of Exactpro, which is an international company, and delivery center is based in Georgia. And my experience, I would say, in tech direction and overall in different ones, it's like around 15 plus years. And for all my experience, I'm dealing with different directions, different challenges, which makes everyday life quite interesting for me. That's also very briefly about me.
Thank you. May, perhaps you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you very much, Debbie. I'm really interested also to have this discussion with Ramla and Natia. My name is May Abu Sbaid. I work here in the Royal Scientific Society as a software quality assurance engineer. But I'm also a member of JOISTQB. So my daily work today includes both worlds, let me say, the direct testing part and the part of working with JOISTQB. So mainly, currently we're working with, trainings and the exams and spreading awareness more about ISTQB in general here in Jordan, in addition to internships to students of the universities here. That's mainly the part I do. And I have around 21 years of experience, most of which was in the private sector. Some of it was in my own private company, which I established with some of my colleagues earlier.
Thank you, May. Thank you. So let's get straight into some of the questions I've been asked to pose to the panel today. And it's quite interesting. Before we started, I was looking at a McKinsey report, and it's based on statistics in Europe. And it said that there are only 22% of women in ICT jobs. Now, I'm going to go away and verify the statistics. That seemed very, very low to me, indeed. But kind of taking it into the first question I have for you, you've all had careers in IT, successful careers in IT, I think it's fair to say. What enabled you on your career path as a woman? Natia, let's look to you first.
Okay. So Actually, I think I mentioned that my experience was spread out in different directions. Like it, and while I was picking up and trying to understand the technology sector was the one which I belonged to. So I had a different variety of experience in finances, in technology, in HR direction, analytics as well, and so on. And I think while with my current roles, all this experience, all the skills that I gained are really helpful. And it makes a combination that makes me to work properly and do and deliver good results. What I think, and personally, and especially related to the women, how it makes it more successful. I think multitasking is one of them because it's the thing that I think majority of the women use. Also, communication and soft skills that I think the women who are on leading positions it's more helpful, and I think personally that it's more related and more especially for women than men in these roles. And positive attitude, hardworking, responsibility are the skills that are really helpful for the current roles that I'm using for now.
I think one of the observations I make, Natty, is you've got a very good understanding perhaps of your own skill set and you're able to articulate it. And I think that's sometimes where not only women, actually quite a few of us, we struggle a little bit in how we make sure that we're keeping that awareness of our current skills and where we fit. I'll move over to May, and perhaps you can look at that as well. You know, how did you come to the point you are in your career? What was your path to that?
Sure. Actually, at the time I started with, there was a need for software testing here in Jordan. And it was easy for me to find a job at that time, but it wasn't easy to learn the real work behind software testing. There weren't a lot of resources. What really benefited me was the support environment around me. First of all, I was enthusiastic to learn, and the ones around me, my team leaders, whether men or women, actually both, they were also very supportive. Back at my family as well, they understood that sometimes I needed to maybe be a little bit later than usual at work. They could maybe, we can have some chit chat in the weekends and go out to trips or so, just to reduce the stress of the work. Generally, I would say that I kept going, I kept learning, and the environment itself matured more here in Jordan from 2002 until today. That was helpful. There's like a general direction towards that. We need to do this. We need to be bigger and better in software testing and software development in general. In addition, as Natia mentioned, you need to really work on your skills. You need to work on the environment you are inside to know what's in and what's out of it, and accordingly, you need to adapt to it. You need to be able to communicate well. You should have, learn how to emotionally run things around you with emotional intelligence. I mean, how to mobilize the network around you, and you will find it supportive. Sometimes all you need to do is ask, as they say. Sometimes you need just a little bit of support here and there, or maybe to ask something about it to learn a bit more. It's nice that I had some role models along the way, both men and women. But I would say that I had more women leaders than men actually in my career path. I think that's something really good that would be helpful to anyone entering this arena in Jordan here. Yeah.
Thank you, May. Ramla, same sort of question to you about career path and how you ended up doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks, Debbie. So, in comparison to other ladies, to Natalia and May, I will tell you a big secret. I am a switcher because when I started to study, my first education was pedagogy and philology. So, first graduation is I am a philologist of German language and Ukrainian language, a teacher for the children. But somewhere in the middle, I realized that this is not the direction I want to take, and I added one more education. The next one was business and development and everything like that, mostly related to management and finance. And finally, when I was graduated, I decided to start working with people as a manager of the web stores and everything else, like using different CRMs. And here I realized once again that I'm mostly interested in technology and computers, and also together with that, I liked to work with people, with clients. Those were just customers, but I understood that that is something which I like to do. I like to make people happy, to provide them with some results, with like some, I don't know, to reach some goals. So everything else. And my friends, they were already working in IT, in QA, and they suggested me just to try, because that was really the first direction I tried. I don't know what happened if I, for example, met developers and decided to do some development. Not sure about that, because here is like direction where I can realize myself. I can apply my knowledge. I can apply my skills of team management, of people management, because while I was studying pedagogy, I studied some skills and gained some skills. I was working with children and with other teachers first, but I believe that it helped me. Finally, when I came to a QA, I started to grow as a QA specialist. I realized that I can study more and more, and technologies, they develop themselves. They make me grow technologically, let's say, like to then I figured out that there are certifications like STQB, and I started to look for a certification, how to take it, how to study before the exam. And further, I helped people also to get certified. I've met people from ISKI. We also have a good relationship right now. And somehow I came to the place where am I right now. Yeah.
So all very different journeys. Going back to this article I was reading earlier, they were identifying something which I found quite interesting, and that is how women come to technology and where the points of loss are, if you like, in interest in IT. And we all talk a lot about STEM education, and if we had more girls in IT and STEM, then we'd actually solve this problem. And this article was saying that actually the issue is we have a drop-off from STEM into secondary education, we have a drop-off from secondary education to tertiary education, and then we're having quite a big drop-off from tertiary education into the workplace. And obviously, I'd like to maybe explore with you a little bit about that journey of a woman. You've all come to the place you are in different ways. Where do you think women could really, well, where can we focus on helping women to make the decision to go into IT? May, you're nodding. I'll ask you that one.
Yeah, because I was discussing this with a friend a couple of days ago, actually. The last couple of years here in Jordan, there's more realization of the importance to integrate not only women, even students of the
Yes.
school students into the arena of the work a little bit earlier, not to be as working force, but just to take that experience. So my friend was actually telling me the other day that in their own company now they have like internships for
Yes.
for students of the school, young students. They just come like for 2 weeks. They see how things go in reality, and somehow gives them an idea if this is something that they want or not. Because here in Jordan, it's like so many people are interested in computer science. So many people are interested in development, and they hear like artificial intelligence, cyber security. It's like buzzwords. But it's not really fit for everyone. Yet not everyone knows that they have that skill or that desire to do it. So it's like gives them like an exploration for this at a very early stage. In addition to that, the universities now are paying more attention to the internship programs. It's not just training, in the summer course. It's more like internship. So they are included. They choose companies that have, a clear path for that. They choose companies that put, like KPIs that the students can look forward to, and they follow up with them. Actually, yes. And it's like noticeable that majority of the women targeting the software testing area are women, actually, from the universities and from maybe other sciences even. We have civil engineers, HR professionals. They moved to the software testing profession successfully. That was fine because they were able to take certifications, to learn more about it from their friends, and so I would say that the earlier the better, actually. That would help them at least understand what they are to expect when they work. It's not enough just to search it on the internet. You have to ask someone who works in that area, or try it yourself if you can find a good internship for that. In addition, in Joystick, we are targeting younger ages at this point. Yeah, the other day we had a quick meeting with one of the universities here in Amman, and they asked for that. They asked that we build some kind of agreement with them to regularly visit them and give awareness sessions and keep talking about it. Keep talking about it. Yeah.
Natty, I know you're very active in Georgia with various initiatives, and this challenge of transitioning young women, and indeed young men, from education into the workforce must be something that you've come across also in Georgia.
Yes, definitely. And when I was listening, May, I just reminded the several cases similar exactly what we had here, like from JOSTQB side as well, and from the Exactpro, the company delivery center that I'm leading. From the both sides, we started the very beginning, the very first years, to start negotiation with the universities. Like we have a lot of connections, I think, with the most of universities which have the tech faculties. And we are trying to deliver them and to do some internships or to do the webinars or like have in-person meetings. We explain what means a testing profession, what's the purpose, what's the main goal, and why it's very needed and useful, especially for digital products. And what does it mean to be a tester in reality? We did several courses also with the different programs. Speaking about women empowerment, also we were part of empowering women projects such as 500 women in tech and 1,500 women in coding school, and like different initiatives that I'm always happy to support personally as well, or the whole team that I'm working. And we want always to give and share as much information as we can for students, or even if it's possible. And we had some cases when we visited regions and schools and give them the more information and spread out about the profession itself. And what I like with the young generation is that more girls are coming from STEAM fields, comparing, for example, with the ages that I was starting and learning and to understand which field I have to pick up, because still the stereotypes and biases were very deep, I think. And when I was starting and when I entered in any job position, and especially in technology sector, you realize that you are in a minority, and majority there are men, and you can work in a group where everyone is a man. And especially when you are young, when it's a first job, you always need a mentor there, like to ask them help and support. What are the processes, procedures, how to move on? And you don't have this confidence because you are very young without any experience, and you are looking for someone who is similar to you, and especially from the gender perspective as well. And all these things makes obstacles for you at the very steps when you start your working and new experience, a new page in your life. So to make things easier for the students and them to enter already, I think it's a good step and here. So I think we need to also work and more into this direction as well.
Ramla, your journey has been very, very different from a completely
very different. That's why, I won't say that I was hesitating men, for example, because I really joined the team with almost all men. My first manager was a man. Right now I have men everywhere, but I wouldn't say that there are no women, really. Right now, like Nadia said, just stereotypes changed. Women realized that they can be successful not only in their families, not being better wives, better moms. They realized that they can uh, be successful in their profession. And more women come to IT here in Ukraine, and they are now really successful. Not a lot of them come to the leadership positions because of some skills like being stressful, like being very responsive, and so on. But in general, just software engineers like QAs, developers, they not all, but I would say more than 30% are women right now. And it seems to me that we are doing a good job. I can compare myself, for example, when I was young. I don't know what people did at those time. Probably they worked somewhere else, probably in IT. I came later, like that. But from my observations, people started to choose studies according to engineering positions. They started to study in technical universities. They decide for technical directions, not only for some I don't know, something else like non-technical. And I believe this is the good step. Another good step is to widespread this culture, explain people even starting from school, what is IT, why do we need it, why it is important, how technologies change, how they grow, how they improve, and so on. And like explain what people can get if they develop themselves in this direction and get in such career. Yeah.
You've mentioned something there which I would very much like to explore a little bit, and that is women in the leadership roles. And I know we do have women here who are in leadership roles. And I'm a little bit hesitant to ask, because someone said to me in a session we did not so long ago, we hear the same thing all the time from the women talking about their challenges and their obstacles. And some of them, may seem very obvious, but my personal view is every woman in every country has got, should have an opportunity to give perspectives and voice opinions on this, because the more we talk about it, then the more we realize that actually is the norm. And that's what is past the problem. It is far too normal for women to struggle in areas such as moving up the ranks into leadership roles. So maybe, Natty, I can kick off with you and explore that a little bit. Is this actually not real, not fact? Are women given the same opportunities as men? Is it that we're just not taking those opportunities? Or is it that actually there are challenges there which are, things which we need to address and address overall? Because, we have got gaps in the workforce. We know we've got skills gaps. And for me, women should be able to fill some of those gaps, particularly in leadership.
Yes, totally agree that firstly, there are gaps. I think there are several reasons. One of them, what I came across, and I was also part of this, was the confidence that majority of the women are lacking. And if we compare, it's based on the reasons sometimes are the stereotypes and unconscious biases that the environment is currently using and having this. So for the years, starting from the very childhood, when you are growing up and you are growing up with this understanding and these beliefs, it's not easy to overcome these fears. You always, even when you enter to the job, and I mentioned that like in some cases you are only one girl. And I was listening to one lady several days ago. She mentioned that when she entered to a new job, and directly all the team were males, they gave her the paper and the pen and asked her to write agenda, because they think that such things are like that women should handle it. And the more risky things to make decisions or be a decision maker, to be executive, somehow people believe that it's not for women, like that men are more risky and that they should lead this. And still the stats that you mentioned, and also like everywhere it's visible that we don't have so many women in leading positions. But for the last surveys, what I was also reading, there is highlighted that women are good in soft skills and women can lead and manage in a different style and to achieve much better results sometimes comparing with a man. And skills such communication, really soft skills related, attitude, empathy, and the things that is really nice. And some companies even started to picking up more women for leading positions, change their attitude, and are trying to give more slots, like and because they think that they will have much better results. So these are the two different trends what I am also coming across for the last period, and it's always very interesting. And speaking about my experience, I think it's very personal, but I really think that women can manage a lot of things much better. I'm very sorry, but it's my personal opinion. So speaking about the leading positions, yes, unfortunately, even considering the facts that I mentioned, still we have this lack. And if we give more role examples, for example, this is one thing that could help. Because real examples sharing the similar stories or similar success stories of the women who achieved their goals. They, of course, did a lot according to their career. And you see this and you know that you can do this as well. I can do that. There are several programs and mentoring programs as well that women are earning and more confidence there. And on some webinars, you just realize that, yes, you were born in a world that belongs to men, but you can change something here and you can live in a different way. And mentorship programs are also dedicated for tech sector, for leadership roles. And these are very helpful as well. So I would really go to have more such and supportive things for women to encourage more and to have more things into this direction as well.
Reflecting on what Natia said, May, it sounds as though you have to be very proactive in some ways to make sure that you are directing your career. I think sometimes, maybe it's in the right place, the right time, with the right people around you, the right opportunities. But nevertheless, I think there is some ownership you need to take. Do you think that that is a bigger challenge for women, taking that ownership and being able to direct it properly? Or do you think actually it's the same for men and we really don't have anything extra to think about?
Yeah, I think that whether men or women, when they start off in their early days of their careers, they will not notice this issue. But as they grow, they will notice that because maybe there are less role models for women in the leadership, they somehow lack some kind of confidence, as Natia said, I think. That's one part of it. In addition to that, some of them really do not want to take the risk of losing time with their families or losing time with their loved ones, because they know that even if the work environment is relatively supportive, it's not going to always be like that. So they should be proactive, not only in the part related to I want to become a leader, or I can do it, I can build on my own skills. They need to build a support network around them, whether inside the work or outside the work. In other words, to be able to accomplish as a woman, which is the society expects you to do so much in so little time, especially if you are married, if you have children, or anyone with special needs, like parents to take care of or something like that. You have really some limited time. You need to first of all to learn how to be a good management of your tasks. In addition, you need to, whatever that can support you, should do it, whether it is maybe someone helping you in your home, someone, maybe you should be able to learn to delegate the smaller tasks to other team members, I think. Also to build your own network, because having a good network, especially network of women, it gives really a very large impression on your own personality and on your own success story. Because I would say it's like, a two-faced thing. Because we are maybe emotionally intelligent, somehow a little bit more than women in men, I mean, in some areas, that helps us in conflict resolution maybe better. But sometimes we do not get to that point that we decide how to resolve the conflict.
Yes.
Whether it's because of us or because of the environment around us. But once we get there, we really do it, I think, in a large way. Maybe it's we can absorb the anger of around us. We can maybe suggest other solutions. But in Jordan here in specific, I can see a big shift actually. Yes, because now in work environments they do the opposite. Maybe like Natia said, it's the opposite. I think when we have a newcomer to our work environment, she's a girl or a lady, they give her like special attention at first, like something protective, but she can get out of that actually. And once she proves that she can do the tough work, not only the soft work, they just give it to her. Our voices are equal now to a good degree, but I won't say that in every work environment, because something major is that we have a lot of good laws, but it's not enforced everywhere. For example, if you are a married woman or you have children, smaller children, you don't want to spend so much time or thinking on how they are doing now. In many workplaces now we have nurseries. They are built inside, yes, but it's by the law actually. But not everyone now is applying that. That needs a little bit more maybe governmental follow up on that. But once that's accomplished, it's really helpful for them. And as I said, the proactive part is not just only the technical part to prove it by yourself. You need to really mobilize all your abilities to talk to others, to convince them. That would be something that really is helpful. Yeah.
Thank you for that insight, May. I think you've hit on a really interesting point there, that when we're looking at opportunities, then there's maybe, there's so many different aspects. It's, our own instigation of moving through the path ourselves, but also systemic problems and organizational problems where perhaps the environment just isn't as conducive as it could be to the aspirations of women. Ramla, what's your experience in organizations and how they support women to actually pursue the higher?
Well, thank you for the question. It's very interesting discussion because we all are from different locations. As for me, in my experience, I faced with different companies because I'm working right now for one which is outsourcing company. So different clients come here and we work with distributed teams. So for example, if there is a team located in the US, it's one option. This is, for example, another company working in Europe, operating in Europe, it's another option. And this inequality, which you mentioned between men and women, when women supposed to do some soft work, not tough work, for me, it mostly happens in European companies. I don't know why. This is just my observation. Here in Ukraine, it's more about equality. No one counts on if you are a man, woman, that's fine. You are, for example, a QE engineer, you are a team lead, you are just dev lead, you're software engineer, whatever. You're just making your work and this is it. So you are required to do work in some way. You have guidelines, you have requirements, you have expectations, and it doesn't matter if you're a man or women. But in European countries, especially for leadership positions, what I observe, they are very precise, I would say. Maybe this is my experience because recently I worked for the client where I had such feeling like there is a woman and she is in the leadership position and why she came here and so on. So it's not bad. It's a piece of my experience, but just an observation. It came mostly from European locations for some reason. Maybe it's time for them to also change their mind. Maybe not. But yes, this is my experience about it.
I think that's such an interesting observation. And, is it associated with our countries where we are? I won't pass too much comment about the UK as a woman who has, established a career. But sometimes I've had to maybe, I wouldn't say shout a little bit louder, but I've had to try a little bit harder to make myself heard, maybe. I've had to perhaps do things which have had to, put my head above the parapet in ways that perhaps I've not noticed men having to do, to say, I'm here and I want to be visible and I want to follow opportunities. Natia, have you experienced that?
Actually, I also wanted to step in discussions while May and Ramla mentioned, and you also mentioned it. I think one of the points for women, what is really important, this is like visibility things, and
Yes.
once we already touch the connections and the network, and the networks is very helpful. Sometimes I have feeling that good network is doing much work than the actually you think that you can achieve with the good results. And what is also very important, this is visibility thing. I was told that I am lacking of visibility actually, comparing to the things that I do, and I was also advised to have more visibility around the things that I'm doing. So this is one of the important things to keep when we are trying to share the information. And on the workplace, I think for years, and I always like, maybe just because of my stereotypes when I was growing up, that I was always trying to do and work hard, and to show everyone that really doesn't mean that I doesn't mean on gender, then that the profession doesn't have a gender, like you can have the same results. But still I was always pushing myself, and I was trying to compete with my men colleagues, and to show and to deliver more better results. And yes, somehow, Debbie, I think I am more or less in the same case that you described.
It's a challenge. That visibility is a challenge. I have to say that I was in a very fortunate position where I had people who would advocate for me. And whether that was luck or whether it is, I managed to seek these people, I'm 100% sure. But certainly that helped. So the visibility was raised by default in some ways, because they were saying, have you noticed what she's doing? Have you noticed what she's bringing to the team? And that helped very, very much. May, did you have people that you mentioned, some role models who were women in particular? How did that help you raise your visibility?
Yeah. First of all, even though I started as a junior, very junior tester, I didn't really know anything about testing at that time, but I learned a little bit about it, and I was really interested to go on with it. The first thing they provided me was confidence, actually. Yeah. Because they allowed me to enter meetings with customers, like a fresh graduate. I didn't really know anything about that kind of environment, how they talk, why do they talk that way, what should be said, what should not be said. I was like an observer at first. Then came some large projects that they handed to me to be able to, they were on site on another customer site. So I was like with another colleague there, only me and him. They gave me the trust that I can do it, while I doubted myself at that point. That's, I think, the main point that pushed me a little bit harder forward. In addition to that, as the days went by, I noticed that we really, we didn't really have much of leadership in women inside the organizations as a whole. So that was due to we didn't really have much specializations in testing at that time, maybe in Jordan overall. So what I did was I wanted to move to other companies that would give me more exposure. I think that's one point. If you can't find what you are looking for at the place you are in, you should be courageous to step out and find another place or another way. Not because it's a bad place. Maybe you reach your potential at that point. You need to be, exposed to other areas, to other adventures. At the same time, I had support. I have to say, I had a lot of support from my male colleagues and from my male, team leaders. I really have to say this because there's a perception here in the Arab world, maybe, or the Muslim world, that women are not able to talk freely or maybe not able to express what they think. I personally, and to be honest with you, I didn't feel that. Really, I didn't feel it because maybe, they are all professionals, they are all grown ups, they are all giving you the opportunity to talk. Although sometimes I can feel it that you need to talk a bit louder, as you said, or as Natia said, you need to push yourself towards the thing you want. but it's coming from like a protective point of view for them, not from, you know, a discriminative point of view. I think it's lack of understanding, not more than that. So, you know, we went back like that. The role models, they were pushing me and helping me. So I decided that I need to be a role model as well. And I realized something very important. It's not always the direct, you know, talk to others that gives them the inspiration. You have to do something that they can imitate, or you have to do something that gives them some kind of, you know, that you know, idea that they can go on with, or show it to them. That would make it much easier to follow. You need to be intelligent, emotional. You need to be able to conflict, to resolve the conflicts in a way that is productive, let me say. Because there's a perception again, I don't know why. There's a perception that women talk too much with a little bit value. They talk too much, and that's not correct. We can you know, balance our talk. We can give some kind of prioritization, and at the same time, we don't need to shout. We can just resolve the conflicts very easily with the way you absorb the others. I think we really surpass men with that. I do feel it. So. That's
An
my way.
area I totally agree. An area I just want to explore is the giving and receiving of feedback.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important, whether you're man, woman, relevant, but being able to give and receive feedback. Ramla, how have you addressed, you know, making sure people are giving you feedback and then you're acting on that feedback so that you're actually moving things forward? And on the other side of it, how would you recommend people give feedback? And I'm going to say something which I know will be controversial, but you know, us girls are sometimes be a bit sensitive, and the feedback is kind of, oh my God, it's awful, which isn't usually actually the case at all. It's just genuine feedback and it's well meant. So can we just explore that a little bit, perhaps?
Well, I would recommend to ask for the feedback if you haven't provided with one already, and frequently ask. I mean, not each and every day, but you define some period of time. If you are new at some company, at some work, probably you have to ask for the feedback in a few weeks, even in 2 weeks. Just you started and ask for the feedback, what I can improve, what I can do better, and so on. For me, by the way, honestly speaking, the question of voice was not the question, because you remember my first education is pedagogical one, so I had to talk very loud to children to make them understand and listen to me. Doesn't mean too loud, but in general to pay attention on me. That's why that was not a problem. But sometimes it plays a annoying role for men. For example, if women talk a lot, they talk loud, they say a lot of words. So sometimes it's annoying, unfortunately. And for this feedback, I usually ask too. So I ask how I can improve myself, what I can do better. Even if I'm provided with the negative feedback, I'm trying to understand what went wrong, why people provided me with that. And yeah, as for me, I don't have such experience when it depended only on me as a woman. It just depended on me as a person. Sometimes I can be not a good fit for the current client, for the current company. It's okay too. So we should understand that we are not money. People won't like us anyway, just for who we are. So yeah, this is just a question of your perception, how you understand what you will be doing with feedbacks, positive or negative. So it doesn't matter.
And putting yourself in the right mindset, I think.
Yes.
We're into the last 2 minutes now, so I'm just going to throw it open quickly. What is the single most impactful action that can be taken to support women in the tech industry? Nancy, I'll open up to you first.
So I think it will be sort of summary up from all the points that we discussed. And I mentioned about mentorship programs and the programs that really support women empowerment. There are special dedicated organizations even. And not only that, sometimes the companies inside, they can also have their own programs or projects that really support the ladies. Feedback you mentioned is really good methodology that gives you good results sometimes. But what I was reminding when you just were telling good stories, but I realized that from all my stories, sometimes you come across to the people who just don't get feedback. Well, it's negative feedback, but they don't get it. And it doesn't matter if you know the methodology, how to provide good feedback, like proper and structured feedback, or you try a lot of different versions, still you can find out the person who don't get the feedback. And sometimes it's also connected with the gap of ages, like a generation gap. And for them, it's also not easy to follow you up. And so these are the challenges that is also very tightly connected to feedback, but I still believe this is also one of the good things. I started with the mentors and mentorship programs. I would also mention that the companies who support the environment that are more flexible for women, like environments that have, for example, dedicated area for kids, because in some countries it's not so easy to cope with the issues connected with the kid, to have nannies or to have the people who will take care of your kids. And so if the companies will have such areas, it will be more helpful for women and also for parents, not only women, that to be more productive, to dedicate more time for the products and be fully in and not to think on the different things. And of course, I should once again touch these unconscious biases. Still, I believe that yes, the time goes and the things are changing, but still it's not so fast changing. And still, I think it needs time to fully change all our mind. And I think also pay gaps, because sometimes it's the I think we didn't touch this point, but I just reminded that this is also very painful thing for some areas, maybe for some companies. And here the key is to do the, for my view, is that to do monitoring, to do the checkups, to have these sessions, to understand where this person goes, and maybe it needs promotion, and maybe she is very shy or hiding somewhere, but she's really delivering good results, and to keep the ranges and not to have this gap just because of confidence or some other reasons. I think I mentioned several ones that I believe it's important from my side.
I think you've hit on so many important things there. You know, I was chatting to a very good friend this morning, and a phrase came up which was quite impactful, and it's about organizations, rather than always being consumers of talent, becoming creators of talent. Consuming meaning always having to go out to the market and look for people to recruit and bring on board. It's very expensive, and you also don't necessarily get the skills you need. Whereas if you actually have programs within your organization which are about talent creation, you know, that can bring a lot of benefit. And I think acknowledging your the women in your workforce, and whether it's retraining or redeploying or whatever, that can really help to fill a lot of the skills gaps that organizations have, while introducing the level of flexibility that sometimes is needed, because, you know, women still seem to have more of the responsibility, if I can put it like that, for the family and the childcare. And the older parents, you know, it's not just on the children's side, it's often on the older parents' side as well. May, a few closing words from you, please, if I may ask.
Sure. Building on what you have said, Debbie and Natia, I totally agree with you regarding, you know, more flexibility in the work environment, more flexibility regarding working maybe from home sometimes, and so. But I want to focus on something additional, that the type of training that women should seek to take, even if it's not provided by their own organizations, they should build more on their soft skills, because they have a good base for that. But what I mean is not only build on the, you know, the usual soft skills and communication skills. I want to mention something that Ramla maybe pointed about a little bit too, regarding the voice and the voice tone, and so, because it's really important to deliver your message. Sometimes if you're too enthusiastic, others will not be able to hear the higher pitch of your voice. So it's really, it can pay off if you can take a couple of courses in that area, actually. In addition, to continuously support your mental health and your psychological health, maybe find ways to find some way, someone, friends to talk to, go out more. Don't feel guilty for doing that. It's for all your own health. Play some yoga, maybe hear some music, something like that. I think we need to focus on that as women, because we tend to put too much time for others on our expense, so much of our time, actually.
Yeah. Ramla, we're really close. Just let me ask you just to give a few final words, please.
Yes, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me here and for such an interesting discussion. And I would add here that, well, we should not wait for any recognition. We should do our best anytime and improve our hard skills, soft skills, and continue being the very best version of ourselves. Yeah.
Thank you, Ramla. It's lovely words to end with. Well, thank you all so very much. Lots of insight and opportunity to share experience there. Thank you to everybody who has watched this session, and hope you enjoy the rest of the A4Q Testing Summit edition 2024. Thank you all.